the ambassadors of the golden ray are what some would have referred to as Illuminati, but that term's been taken up already. And there's a lot of history that goes behind the particular group. But the main mistake, according to the historical account, is to have a hierarchy at all. Whether it be 13 or 33, no matter what the number, if there is a higher or lower in terms of the status of man, is not destined to be eternal. No matter how many thousands of years your bloodline may have a head start, no matter how many ideas your particular group may have gotten to first, if there's a higher and a lower, then it's still going to be split. That's not oneness. That's polarity. Not the same thing as duality. This is polarity expressing itself in poles. Higher, lower. Master, slave. Loan giver and the person who borrows. The poles, the different poles, rich and poor. When you put a structure together based on poles, what you have is recess, because you have a playground. And if it's two poles, you have a seesaw. If you're going to weigh on one end, it's going to lift one side of the saw up. If you weigh on the other end, it's going to lift the other saw up, the other side of the seesaw. See and saw, right? Dealing with what? Only present and past, not future. Just keeping you in the loop of present, past, seesaw. This is what polarity is about. When you start making distinctions between people, if you could unify people with one good definition, solid definition, even if it has to be minimal, even if it has to be like unflattering, just to say, who are we? We are us. That's who we are. If it's no deeper than that, you including everybody. And you have a unified field. Now you got unity. Now you're no longer on the playground. You're not in recess. You're back to conducting court. You're back on the court of play. You're back on the field of play. You're not in recess. You're not adjourned. Because what are you making? You're making judgments, right? And so you have 13. That's a mystical number, being the one who rules over the 12. But even this is not destined to be eternal, because you have the laying down of a hammer, the gavel, right? Thor, hammer, 13, Thornton, to be Thor-ish. That's the one that's sitting as judge, who has the hammer and the lightning. The lightning is symbolizing above weapon. You have the most highest ranked power, authority, your weapon, your status, your title, right? And likewise, your executive pull. But all of this is polarity. If everyone is not brought to that level, you're not gonna last throughout all ages. You might last throughout many ages, but not all ages. It's gonna come apart, because what nature is trying to get man to understand and graft itself into is unity, the unified field, where there's this diversity of people, but all equality. No matter how skilled one person is in this or that, or great at this, or invented this or that, no one is greater or lesser than the next person. In fact, everybody is boosted up. Everybody is esteemed to the highest level. Imagine what a world is like when there's culture where people only brag about one another. Could you imagine what kind of world that would be like if the average person just, all they did all day on the feeds would just brag about how good other people are, other content creators, how good other athletes are, other musicians, other vocalists, other rappers? What if this was what was generating all the traffic? Nothing but people who compliment others, even if they know they're good already, even if you heard it already, just for the sake of slanting the direction of content, just in not reinventing the wheel, but the perfect recycling of things and bringing it back to its original order. bringing things back to his you know what I mean, to his even level, back to his original state, to his most organic form, bringing this thing back to a seed. So that involves unity consciousness, a unified field. What you want to do in this journey as you're acquiring different pieces and philosophies and different views, you want to add it like it's part of this psychological complex or compound or castle or villa or estate, whatever your property is. Look at your mind like it's real estate. And however many different types of information you can acquire and make sense of for yourself and use it to your benefit, that's how much psychological real estate you gain with the concepts that you learn. Now you got them what up. Now you got more leverage. Now you have more of a distance to travel. You have more reach. You have more pull. You can go more places. Your path has been widened. You're on a freeway versus an alleyway. You got more options. You got more access. You can meet more people. You got more people watching you. You got certain kinds of people watching you who are really taking a vested interest in you, and you're becoming an investment on this grand level that you may not realize. This is what unity consciousness eventually walks each person into in their destiny. Each person, each male will eventually find themselves as a king, each female herself as a queen, or whatever you want to be, God, goddess, whatever you want to be. Your life and the people around you, and even the people on the outside of them, in a culture with true unity consciousness, there's only going to be a such thing as positive peer pressure. There's only going to be positive peer pressure. There's only going to be this feeling of, come on, you can do it. We believe in you. You're the best. You're one of the best. You're just like us. You're another person. You see what people can do. And this is also the meaning, like I say in other videos, behind the Son of Man. Because that term Son of Man comes up in Ezekiel. And when Jesus is attaching this term Son of Man to all of the miracles to be performed, he's not referring to himself. He's referring to the same thing as he was referring to when he was using it in Ezekiel's time. The Son of Man simply means the human being. It simply means the person. All it means is you and me. You and me can do this. You and me can raise the dead. You and me can heal the sick. You and I can do this. You and I can cross the borderlands between kingdoms. You and I between realities. You and I can access thrones above the sky and below the earth. You and I can do this. The Son of Man. It means the human being. These meanings will be kept from you if you're all the way deep into the business of different religions, beliefs, philosophies. If you're into the actual business side of it only, like where you're, selling different ideas and like building different, maybe schools or whatever the case, the business of it can be different. It can be different. And that stands mentioned for a whole nother video, perhaps, on just the goings of like head count and what's considered academically sound versus what the general populace knows. Delving into that kind of reality is going to open up the reality of probably a worldwide homeschooling to take place. The technology is already at a high enough level where the average person who, everybody has a smartphone, they can just go somewhere and see everything from their school and get caught up on everything with it. It's probably going to that level now. Once they see that the laptops and the Chromebooks are probably going to be more waste material at the end of the day because they're trying to go more materialist. Going green was just the first step of it. It's actually to go non-material, to go what they call antimatter. non-matter. That's why everything has gotten smaller. The whole world is in your hand, is in your cell phone, is on your cell phone. You used to have to go to libraries to find out different information and research on some car catalog, A, B, B, C, C. You had to really be knowing bibliographies. You had to really know the authors. If you couldn't get it at your library, you had to be ordering stuff from DC and all of that, spending like $30 to get documents. Yeah, it was like that once upon a time. But now, if you can just think it, is there. And there's even more borderlands that we're in that we're still awakening to, like telepathy and all kinds of other stuff. The high frequencies. Have you heard any ringing in your ears lately? Have you had anything? Have you been seeing anything out of the corners of your eyes lately? Don't be shocked if you do. But we'll get into that, probably in another video too. However, this golden ray energy that's set to be the grand unifier, I don't think we have to wait on it. Gold is like the song of wealth. That's why it comes in bars. Bars, like a set of lyrics. In bars. Your gold. And then gold is also melted. You can melt it down. So it flows too. It can flow and it can be solid. Gold. The golden ray. It's like the perfect morning right there. The golden rays, if the sun comes up golden, it's going to be like 75, 80 that day. Maybe even a little bit warmer. But a golden ray to start the morning off with, if the sun comes up like that and then has that real golden color everywhere, that makes for usually a very, very delightful day temperature wise. So all of this is synced up. And then you have stuff like the golden ratio and on and on and on. But the golden ray is not something you have to wait for. Golden children, golden people, So, that's it in a nutshell. We'll build on other things as they come. Again, this is Super T Sigma, a Sigma programming. I thank you for your time and attention over here reaching this teaching. Continue to vibrate high, people. Peace.